Chapter 1 is looking at structural inequality and social stratification. And it's really important that you know that all human societies do produce some form of inequality. In the simplest societies, this inequality may be due to the fact that one's family's fields produce more than others do, or that one family has accumulated a greater herd than others have. And then in other societies where there's periods of scarcity due to droughts, famines, and etc., it may allow some families who are already well off to become wealthier and more powerful. And these advantages may be passed on to the next generation and become part of the society's social structure. Now, make sure you know, as societies become more complex, its members do tend to become grouped into clearly defined strata. In each society, the various strata are defined by how much wealth people have, the kind of work they do, who they marry, and certainly many other aspects of life. So make sure you know the definition of social stratification. It is a society system for ranking people hierarchically, and of course we're talking about from high to low, according to various attributes such as income, wealth, power, prestige, age, sex, ethnicity, religion. And I want to say that almost any social attribute can be a basis for stratification. Stratification separates the rich from the poor, those who have power from those who don't, and certainly our place in the stratification system is going to influence every part of our life, where we live, what we eat, who we marry, and so forth and so on. Now, there are three major forms of social stratification or social inequality, according to Max Weber. Make sure you know these. We have economic, which is the class system, and we're going to be looking at these things later. Social, which is your social status or prestige. And then we have the political, and this is all about power and authority, and we'll be looking at this a little bit more in detail also. There are three different types of authority. Traditional authority is basically like things that are set down in the past that serve as rules for the present. The best example of traditional authority would be like the authority that your parents have over you. Rational legal authority is based on laws, written procedure, such as the President of the United States has rational legal authority, supervisor at work, professors at college, and of course we can go on and on and on with those. And then charismatic authority is authority to whom people feel attracted to, such as like Martin Luther King Jr. and Mother Teresa, and of course we can go on and on and on with that. To give you an example, President John F. Kennedy had rational legal authority. He was the President of the United States, but he also had charismatic authority. He had a way of getting the American people to do anything he wanted simply because they were Americans. So yes, you can have more than one type of authority. Now, the power elite, and we're going to be looking at these later in the course as well. These are the people that make all the major decisions at the top level. Make sure you know they consist of corporate executives, military officers, and political leaders. We'll be looking at life chances in the second chapter of the book. These are opportunities that people will have or be denied throughout life. And I want to go over the four basic principles of social stratification with you. One is social stratification is a trait of society, not simply a reflection of individual differences. Many of us tend to think of social standing in terms of personal talents and efforts, and we often exaggerate the extent to which we control our own destinies. For example, did a higher percentage of the first-class passengers on the Titanic survive because they were better swimmers than second and third-class passengers? No, I don't think so. They fared better because of their privileged positions on the ship. Similarly, children that are born into wealthy families are more likely than children born into poverty to enjoy good health, do well in school, succeed in a career, and live a long life. Neither the rich nor the poor are responsible for creating social stratification, yet this system shapes the lives of us all. Number 2, social stratification persists over generations. To see that stratification is a trait of societies rather than as individuals, we must look at how inequality persists from generation to generation as parents pass their social position on to their children. Some individuals, especially in industrial societies, experience social mobility. Make sure you know what social mobility is. This is a change in one's social position. And of course, we'll be looking at this more when we get into chapter 11. Social mobility may be upward or downward. For example, we celebrate the achievement of Britney Spears or Michael Jordan, both of whom rose from modest beginnings to fame and fortune. But people also move downward because of business setbacks, unemployment, or illness. More often, people move horizontally, and that means that they switch from one job to another at about the same social level. And for most people, social standing does remain the same over a lifetime. Number 3, social stratification is universal but variable. Social stratification is found everywhere, yet what is unequal and how unequal it is varies from one society to another. In some societies, inequality is mostly a matter of prestige, whereas in others, wealth or power is the key dimension of difference. Moreover, some societies display more inequality than others do. And then number 4, social stratification involves not just inequality but beliefs. Any system of inequality not only gives some people more than others, but they define these arrangements as fair. Just what is unequal is going to differ from society to society, and so does the explanation of why people should be unequal. Now, make sure you know that the distribution of rewards in society is usually related to the society's economic system. There are 3 forms of stratification. We have the slave, the caste, and the class system. In every society, people are grouped into different categories according to how they learn their living. Make sure you know that societies that maintain those rigid boundaries between social strata are said to have closed stratification systems. This allows very little change in social position. And then societies in which the boundaries are easily crossed are said to have open stratification systems, and these systems permit some social mobility. For example, the United States is an open stratification system. We know that we can be rich one day and lose everything and be poor the next, or we can be poor one day, hit the lottery, and be rich the next. So there is social mobility. 2 of the most basic forms of stratification are the caste and the class systems, and you do need to know these. In a caste system, an individual's worth is judged on the basis of religious or traditional beliefs about the person or the person's family. The caste system is very rigid, and no one can move into another caste. The best examples of closed societies are found in caste systems. Membership in a caste is an ascribed status. Make sure you know all of this. It is a status that is acquired at birth rather than achieved status. This is one based on the efforts of the individual, which is what you find in a open system. A pure caste system is closed because birth alone determines one's destiny, with little or no social mobility based on individual efforts. A class system is based on both birth and individual achievements. Make sure you know that classes, just like caste, are social strata, but they are based primarily on economic criteria such as occupation, income, and wealth. The class system is an open society in which there is a good deal of mobility between the classes. And I want to say that people who gain schooling and skills may be socially mobile in relation to their parents and their siblings. This mobility can blur class distinctions so that even blood relatives may have a different social standing. Now, the classes of modern societies are not homogeneous. Their members do not share all the same social rank. There are variations in people's natural well-being and how much prestige they are accorded by others. Make sure you know that this is known as status groups. They are defined by how much honor or prestige they receive from society in general. An ideology is a system of ideas and norms that all the members of society are expected to believe in and act on without question. Make sure you know that. It certainly is a major factor in the way social classes are organized. Any beliefs, for example, such as the idea that the rich are smart and the poor are lazy, are ideological to the extent that they define the wealthy as worthy and suggest that the poor people deserve what they have also. Make sure you know that every society appears to have ideologies that justify stratification and are used to socialize new generations to believe that existing patterns of inequality are legitimate. In the United States, for example, most people embrace the ideology of the American dream. This is the idea that in America, anyone who works hard can achieve success and wealth. But at the same time, we also know that the odds of achieving great wealth are very low. This is one reason people love to hear rags to riches stories about poor or hardworking people of modest means whose lives have been transformed by sudden lotteries. I'm going to stop here and start another PowerPoint because we don't have enough time. These PowerPoints only allow 15 minutes each, so part one or week one will have two different sections.